Sometimes, people are remembered more for what wasn't than for what was. It's the central element in Roy Jones Jr.'s identity. At the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, Jones's phenomenal talent burst across America's television screens as he overwhelmed his Korean finals opponent. Jones was the second coming of Ray Leonard, but then came the decision.
In the blue corner,
Park Si-han has stolen the belt.
Though corrupt judges robbed him of his gold medal, Jones was the governing federation's choice as most outstanding boxer of the Olympics.
I was like, well, if I'm the best boxer here, how come I'm not wearing a gold medal? And, you know, it didn't really give me any consolation, though, because I was crushed for 2 days about that medal. Then I thought about it, you know, and I said, well, I think God blessed me with something more valuable than a gold medal. Because right now, today, people still remember me from the Olympics. More so than they do the guys who won gold medals.
But the trauma of losing seemed to knock Jones off course for years. He thought about quitting for several months, then turned pro, choosing his father, himself a former boxer, as his manager. Roy Jones Sr. was intensely suspicious of the boxing establishment, and after 2 quick fights on national television, he forced his son into a holding pattern of obscurity for nearly 4 years. Jones Jr. was matched against a parade of inept opponents in and around his hometown of Pensacola, Florida. While several of his Olympic teammates were winning world titles, critics and fans were writing off Roy Jones Jr.'s apparently lost career.
I could see where they were saying that I wasn't moving fast enough. I could understand that. But my father just didn't think that I was ready to move like that yet.
Roy Jr. was a little more anxious to get his career moving than Roy Sr. Roy Sr. said he could train his son for 10 years for a fight, and he'd want to train him 10 years in a day.
Father-son teams have bad karma. Joe Frazier pushed Marvis too fast. Howard Davis Jr. never won a title under his dad. Robert Ches Sr. committed suicide. And by early last year, Roy Jones Jr. was becoming increasingly miserable under his father.
My will to get up every morning and go jogging and to train hard every day was just starting to depreciate because I didn't see any title shot coming anytime soon.
Someone of Roy Jones Jr.'s talent should have been in the ring with somebody that could really teach him something, but when you knock a guy out in 46 seconds, how much do you learn? So he basically said, I love my father, but I don't want him as a trainer or a manager. Basically, they haven't talked for at least a year, which is very sad.
It's not a good relationship, but with time, it'll probably get better. I think he's starting to realize why I had to do what I had to do.
Liberated from his father, Roy Jr. took charge. Since bringing the widely respected Alton Murkerson on board as his trainer, Jones has won a slice of the middleweight title. And under the business guidance of 2 local attorneys, he has signed a multi-million-dollar television deal.
There's a 4-person round table in a sense that every time there's a big decision to be made, they say the bottom line decision is Roy's, but they all 4 of them discuss it.
Blessed with a marketable hot dog style and sensational boxing skills, Jones finally seems on the verge of his superstar destiny. Ironically, his father's decision to hold him back for so long seems to have achieved its purpose. Roy Jr. has had the time to mature and put the precarious life of a celebrity into perspective. Though he's a huge hero in Pensacola, Jones has remained accessible and down to earth. He lives modestly on a small farm and has no plans, for the moment, to leave his hometown.
I feel very good about Pensacola. You can hunt, you can fish. I can sit here and entertain myself in my own backyard all day. Never would have to leave the house.
But first, it appears Roy Jones is going to be entertaining a lot of other people for a long time to come. Decisions to all 4, among them Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, Lindell Holmes. None of those men, however, all of whom have punching power, none of them were able to knock Malinga out. And now here comes perhaps the most powerful puncher to come along in years in these weight classes. IBF World Middleweight Champion Roy Jones Jr. Last fight, as we told you, May 22 against Bernard Hopkins, Washington, D.C. Undercard of Bo Ferguson, won a 12-round decision against Hopkins, and although it was a unanimous unanimous decision, and a fairly easy one. It raised as many questions as it answered.
But not for his followers from Pensacola. About 700 of them have followed him 3 or 4 hours up the road to Bay St. Louis. There he is, a man who loves to lead his own parade.
This is the 4th appearance for Jones on HBO. In each of his 3 preceding appearances, he was relatively sullen and taciturn in pre-fight meetings and in the days leading up to the bout. Here he has been ebullient, almost to the point of being giddy. And he said that he would put on a show tonight. The record, 20 wins by KO, 2 more wins by decision against Jorge Castro and Bernard Hopkins. Of Castro, he simply says that was a tough opponent. Of Hopkins, he says, hey, the most important thing was to win the fight. It was for my first championship. It was a big showcase. I was a little bit nervous. Maybe I could have done better, but I was satisfied to get the decision. And we take a look at the tail of the tape. You'll see that Roy Jones is 9 years younger than his opponent, Sugar Boy Malinga. They are identical in height. Jones weighed in at 166. Some speculate he will never be back down to 160 again, although he says he's going to defend that title. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
And our punch stat numbers are identical, which proves that they don't prove anything in that respect, but perhaps they do prove something where the power punches are concerned. Jones is much more powerful.
Rules for the bout from Harold Letterman. Harold?
Roy Jones Jr. and Sugar Boy Malinga will box tonight using the rules of the Mississippi State Athletic Commission. 10 rounds. The standing 8 count is in effect. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Only the referee can stop the fight. You can be saved by the bell in the last round only. And in case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, and that cut causes the fight to be stopped, we go to the scorecards after 3 rounds have been completed. Before that, it's a technical draw. Jim?
All right, let's go to the sport's most famous dinner jacket, Michael Buffer, for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated and Square Ring Golden Gloves in association with Budweiser, proud to be your bud, present the featured bout of the evening. Once again, this bout is sanctioned by the Mississippi State Athletic Commission, Chairman Billy Lyons. All the officials at ringside shall remain the same, except for the judges and referee. The 3 officials assigned to ringside to score this bout on a 10-point must system are Chester Como, Martin Casino, and Freddie Steinwinder. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Elmo Adolph. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the boxing capital of the Deep South, Casino Magic here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Let's get ready to rumble! 10 rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the red, gold, and black trunks, and weighing in at an even 165 pounds. This master boxer has a professional record of 35-8, including 13 KOs, and he's ranked number 8 in the world by the WBC. He comes to us tonight from Transvaal, South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Tulane Sugar Boy Malinga. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the gold trunks and weighing in at 166 pounds. This 1988 Olympic silver medalist is now undefeated with a professional record of 22-0, 20 by KOs. He currently holds the IBF middleweight title. Ladies and gentlemen, from Pensacola, Florida, presenting the IBF middleweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Sugar Boy. Hey, Roy. Hi, Roy, Sugar Boy. I've given both of you instructions in your dressing rooms. I expect you to obey the rules. I expect you to listen to my commands at all times. Let's have a good fight. I'm out fighting.
This could be an ugly one, Jim, unless Roy Jones decides to make it something better. It's up to him.
And that is what Tulani Malinga's people suspect is Roy Jones's frame of mind, and they think he's going to attack early to try for a sensational knockout. Any knockout against Malinga is sensational. Remember, Sugar Boy has seen his last 10 fights go the distance, 21 of the last 24, a lot of them against heavy punchers like Nigel Benn and Chris Eubanks. Jones said that he would have to get a look at Malinga early to see how he would target him. But then at another point in our discussion, he promised early in the bout to throw 9 straight left hooks to the body at some point. He said, I really believe the left hook to the body can work. I want to throw 9 in a row of them. And there's a solid left hook to start things off for Jones. Malinga counts among his weapons, to the degree that they are weapons, an extended left jab. Sometimes he paws with it, sometimes he snaps it, but it's really the length of the jab and its importance as a defensive weapon that means more to him. He'll bring the right hand over the top, but cautiously.
No two fighters have the same style, but try to compare in your mind's eye how Oscar De La Hoya fights and how Roy Jones fights. Oscar De La Hoya coming straight ahead in a classic style with his arms up, throwing punches, trying to force openings. Watch how Jones fights instead. In and out, throwing punches from awkward angles, depending on his unbelievable quickness and reflexes.
What about the tendency of boxing writers and others in the sport to compare Jones to Sugar Ray Leonard? Simply convenient or valid?
Well, Jones himself has said, I don't want to be a second Ray Leonard, I want to be a first Roy Jones. To put it another way, I knew Ray Leonard. Roy Jones is no Ray Leonard. Not yet, anyway.
Jones whacks with the right hand to the body. Malinga in such a defensive posture early that it's difficult for Jones to find the target. He's trying to feint and fake a little bit now to see if he can create an opening. Right hand roundhouse landed, but may not have had any effect on Tulani Malinga. Sugar Boy, as he likes to be called, from the Transvaal. He is a Zulu tribe member.
I just saw a praying mantis fly across the ring. I don't know what symbolism that is.
Malinga shaking his head as if to say, why throw punches against my bunched up guard like that? First 3 minutes, relatively uneventful.
Okay, they ain't got him coming at you, guys. From the back. Hey. I'm sorry. Okay. I got him with a tight. Got him with a tight defense. Just keep pecking him with your jab till you open up. They ain't gonna have him coming to you like they do everybody else. Just go ahead and keep pecking him. That's good. I'm sorry, you okay? Sorry. Recording mask to the body now. Keep that. Keep your hands up at all times. Anything? Take it, Earl. What? Keep your hand chinning, huh? Chinning. Come with the watch.
Malinga is 34 years old. He's made his living for 11 years as a professional fighter. And as you saw in that first round, he is a professional fighter.
Or maybe a professional defender. He threw 12 punches in round 1, Larry, and landed 1 of them, according to punch count numbers. But he did create a quandary for Jones as Jones tried to find a way to attack.
You think that Malinga in American is Malingerer? Is that what you're trying to say?
That is the suggestion, indeed. A little bit more active now though, as round 2 begins. You heard trainer-manager Nick Durant whispering to Malinga, offering an effective attack plan. Malinga throws one punch at a time and then covers with both hands. Or just covers with both hands. Jones using the jab more to keep himself busy than for any other constructive reason. Lands a right uppercut, though, as Malinga lunges slightly.
The other fighter you should keep in mind as you watch this is James Toney, because they may be on a collision course.
This guy is almost impossible to knock out, but Jones has him in trouble a little bit now, midway through round 2. Malinga punching now to try to get himself out of trouble. Roy landed an explosive left hand in there. Malinga seems a little bit outside of himself now as he wails away to try to get Jones off of him. Roy looking for an opening to throw the right. Blood around the nose of Tulani Malinga. And through the peekaboo defense, Jones landed another left hook. Now Jones switches to a southpaw stance and lands lead left hands. And Malinga's in serious trouble. Another lead left hand out of the southpaw stance. A new wrinkle for Jones, working big time in round 2. Still the southpaw stance. A little of the old Marvin Hagler here, Larry.
I'm not sure why he turned to southpaw, except that he was having a difficult time fighting the standard way, and so he just turned it around to see what would happen, and what happened was something good for him.
Still fighting out of the southpaw stance. What's been effective here is the lead left hand. Pawing with the jab. Referee Elmo Adolph giving Malinga a moment to straighten himself up off those loose ropes. And Sugar Boy makes it out of round 2, but Roy Jones makes a little noise.
Thank you. Thank you. Vince. Sugar, don't trade with this boy. Trade in the later rounds. Don't trade with him. Get down low. Like I said, get down low. Don't trade.
All right, we're going to watch this combination in real time to get an idea of just what people talk about when they talk about Roy Jones' incredible quickness. There you see a slip. Jones takes advantage of it coming from the left-hand side and hurts him just a little bit.
Round 3 begins. We told you earlier about the treatment of Oscar De La Hoya's left hand by Dr. Tony Daly in Los Angeles. Poetically, Roy Jones has had the same problem with his right hand and also has been treated in the same way by the same doctor, Dr. Tony Daly. When he turned southpaw briefly against Bernard Hopkins, it may have been because his right hand was bothering him, and he wanted to use the left hand for power punching. When he did so here, we think it was probably more for a tactical reason than to protect the right hand. He says the hand isn't bothering him that much now. Malinga, with his wits fully collected, goes back into his defensive style for the first minute of round 3. Jones, back in a conventional stance, begins to paw tentatively with the jab again. left shoulder up in front of his face. An entirely defensive posture. Now a cracking left hook to the ribcage, landed solidly and backed Malinga up. And another left hook lands flush on the face. So Roy Jones is getting through that peekaboo defense occasionally. Can he do it with 2 or 3 punches in a row? That may be the big question of the evening. Solid combo to the body by Jones. Glancing blow with the left hook. Didn't quite crack it. Misses with the right. Malinga lands a right hand and Jones clowns around and then whacks with the left hook to the body again. Right hand lead was blocked. Short right landed inside for Jones as Malinga lunged forward.
Stick it down, all right?
Referee Elmo Adolph stops the action to tell Jones not to stick his tongue out at Tulani Malinga. And the story there is that Adolph referees amateur bouts as well, has been doing Roy Jones fights in this neighborhood, both amateur and professional, for about 10 years. They know each other very well.
Got to use your jab. Swing. Drink that. Sugar, I want you to drink.
I'm good. Keep tapping with your jab, though. I'm steady.
Right.
You're going to the body good. Explode to the head up top. You're working good. Take everything. Come on, take what you came up with.
There you see the stuff that has worked for Jones, trying to distract his opponent. But that has to be a first for me, seeing a fighter warned for sticking out his tongue.
Never seen that one before. I wonder if Adolph momentarily thought he was back in an amateur boxing ring.
Jones told a story the other day of as a youngster on a farm trying to pull a horse out of a pool.
Yes, he did. Fascinating story, lengthy story. A sign of what a good mood he was in.
Yes, but he may have just as difficult a time of knocking Malinga out.
Yeah, this may be a lot like pulling a horse out of a bull. And there was some frustration involved in that lengthy process. Left uppercut.
Very good body punch by Jones.
Well, there's one similarity to De La Hoya, Larry. When he lands that left to the body, it sets up a lot of other things for him. Two more lefts to the body. Jones rapidly seizing on the left hook to the body as the key to a possible strategy for breaking down Malinga's defenses.
He promised us before this fight that at one point he would land 9 straight hooks to the body. So far he's had a hard enough time just dealing with Malinga. Hasn't been able to call his shots yet.
Roundhouse rights and lefts. More quick left to the body inside. Malinga scuffling here and there, putting up just enough of an offense to try to keep Jones off him. Fighting for all the world like a man who believes that his next big step is the winner of Ben Eubank, his prize for going the distance here.
Yet he's been a little bit more aggressive than I would have thought, Jim. He has come forward against Jones, who likes to have all the space he can get to operate well. I guess that's the only way to fight him.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to back up against Jones, because then you give him the chance to establish all the initiative.
See, this is what traditionalists don't like about Jones. His posturing, his movement, instead of just settling down and going to work. Once again, he's turned southpaw.
Yeah, but that time the double clutch with the feet set up a left hook that landed. And you're right, back to the southpaw stance. It was effective for him in round 3. Sets up a left hook to the body here. Look for left-hand leads out of this southpaw stance. That time he lands the left behind the right jab. More blood out of the nose of Malinga as round 4 ends.
Deep breath in and out. And out. In and out. Give me some of the water there. Other water. Another one. Right here. I got it. I got it. Drink it.
Harold Letterman, give us your score through rounds.
Larry, 4 rounds to nothing, 40-36, Roy Jones Jr. Let me tell you something. This guy really impresses me. I want to tell you, I think that was a 15-punch combination he threw in round 2. Everything he throws is combinations. He's got the quickest hands for a big man I've ever seen since Muhammad Ali. Everything he throws, 4, 5, 6 shots at a time. He is vicious.
Harold Letterman, the premier editorialist among American boxing judges. Thank you very much, Mr. Letterman. Round 5 begins, scheduled for 10. Roy Jones Jr. hoping to give a lot of home fans from Pensacola who've made the drive up the Gulf Shore to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, a showcase knockout against an opponent as tough to knock out as anybody in the middleweight or super middleweight classes. Malinga has spent much of his career, incidentally, as a light heavyweight. So he's coming down in weight for this bout, and that's yet another reason to believe that he may be able to stand his ground against the hard-punching Jones. When Jones goes to his conventional stance, the action slows down. Things tend to heat up on both sides when Roy switches to southpaw. Now he throws Malinga to the canvas. It's a slip, not a knockdown. Referee Elmo Adolph wipes the gloves and they go back at it.
Stop! Your corners over there. Give me a towel.
And now Adolph stops the action.
A dry towel.
And wants a dry towel, apparently to wipe up a wet spot on the floor. Yep, when Malinga went down, he blotted the canvas. There is nothing you can do here in this area of Mississippi without sweating.
The only surprise is that they haven't had to do this more often.
All right.
This is a jam-packed tent. They are standing on the rims.
Indeed, under the circumstances, they've done a pretty good job of keeping it comfortable in here. You might have expected a lot worse. As you pointed out earlier today, even golf is a contact sport here. Contact with the weather.
Now tell me, what was that?
Showboating. Looking for a better camera angle, perhaps. That right hand brought them out of their seats. And now Jones slips on the wet spot as he tries to gain traction to follow up. So a brief moment of relief there for Malinga as Roy Jones was unable to throw anything behind the heavy right hand as he slipped and slid all over the wet spot in the ring.
Stop! Give me a towel. Give me a towel.
Adolph again wants to wipe it. He noticed, just as we did, that Jones had trouble gaining leverage on the wet surface. So the clock stops for the second time in round 5. Harold Letterman Ron, what's the precedent for this and what else can be done?
Well, Jim, really, the only thing he could do is spread a little bit of rosin around. But I tell you, I haven't seen rosin in either corner. I don't know if they have any here.
Let's go back for a moment to the round in which the referee warned Jones for sticking his tongue out. You ever seen anything like that?
Well, all he wanted to do was stop him from showboating. And, you know, he's keeping good control of the fight, the referee. So I think he was perfectly within his rights to do that. You don't need a guy showboating.
Round 5 comes to a close now. If, in fact, the bell rings. We didn't hear it. Fighters didn't hear it, but Elmo said he heard it. So that's the end of round 5 between Roy Jones and Tulani Sugarboy Malinga. Larry Merchant mentioned that it is a jam-packed tent here on the grounds of Casino Magic. They sold standing room tickets, lots of them, and the people who bought them are standing around the outer reaches of the arena.
We understand there are plans to build a 9,000-seat arena. So boxing, big-time boxing, comes to Mississippi. Here's the one effective punch that Jones landed in that round. That probably won him the round.
Probably was enough to win him the round. That was a thumper. Referee Elmo Adolph visited both corners between rounds.
All right, let's go.
Well, he clearly wants to keep control of the bout. Now Jones goes back to his corner for his mouthpiece.
What I would like to see Jones doing here is to going straight at Malinga and breaking him down. Instead of just winging shots and hoping to hurt him with one shot. But that style does keep him from getting hit back. When you go in, you're taking risks. You're getting the risk of being hit. Jones, with his amazing reflexes, doesn't have to take those risks.
Would he be better able to break down Malinga systematically if he were more willing to use the jab as a weapon rather than just a rangefinder?
Absolutely. To move in behind the jab.
It's something he ought to be able to do. With all that talent and hand quickness, he should have one of the stiffest jabs in the sport.
Yeah, but somewhere early in his career, he found out that he didn't have to abide by the normal rules of the game because of that quickness. So there's no incentive for him to learn that.
Well, maybe the incentive will grow as the opposition toughens. Another slip from Malinga. This time Elmo Adolph doesn't see fit to stop the action. I don't think a punch has landed thus far in round 6, and we're more than halfway through. Straight left hand was spectacular. 3, 4, 5. Second knockdown of Malinga's recent career. The other was by Chris Eubanks, and this is it. For the first time in 11 fights, Tulani Malinga has been knocked out. And I'll tell you, Larry, you don't like seeing him go for one shot at a time, but what a shot that was.
Right, and as I said, he has those amazing reflexes to get away with it without having to put himself at risk. That's exactly what happened there.
Well, Roy told us he would celebrate to the camera, and there it is. Turns, finds the red light, and gives us his best. A sensational one-shot, 6th round knockout of Tulani Sugarboy Malinga. I repeat, a fighter who had gone the distance in each of his last 10 fights against fighters like Chris Eubanks and Nigel Benn and Lindell Holmes, and here is starched by Roy Jones.
Which I suppose will set up the possibility or probability of that fight with James Toney sometimes early next year at 168 pounds.
Well, let's take a look at the knockout punch, Larry.
There it is, a lead left hook.
Followed by another short left inside that finished him off, but really it was the lead left hook. Woo!
Took a second and a half for his parachute to open and to fall to the canvas, because it was so quick he didn't see it, and those are the punches that do the most damage.
James Toney is the former IBF middleweight champion who has now moved up to 168 pounds. He has had a couple of spectacular performances as a counterpuncher. Let's look at this in real speed and see if Malinga got a full count. I don't think that referee Elmo Adolph thought that the full count was necessary. I think he elected to stop the bout anyway, regardless of whether Malinga made the 10 count. That's my judgment of that. I think that Malinga was up before 10. I think Adolph had made up his mind to stop the bout. You agree, Harold Letterman?
Jim, you couldn't let him go any further. He was out. He was on his feet, but he was out. The referee was completely right. Whether he got the 10 or not made absolutely no difference whatsoever. This guy got hit by a vicious shot, and he was gone.
Should the referee, in making that decision, take into account Malinga's spectacular record of having finished against tough opponents?
No, sir. I would have called it a KO, stopped it before Malinga got killed.
Thank you, Harold. Let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer now for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Elmo Adolph reaches the count of 10. The official time, 1 minute, 57 seconds of round number 6. The winner by knockout victory, still undefeated, now 23-0, 21 KOs, the IBF middleweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
So, in two fights that looked somewhat different from one another, we wind up with virtually the same result. De La Hoya scored his TKO at 2:10 of the 6th. And Jones gets his knockout of Malinga at 1:57 of the 6th. Total punches in the bout. Roy Jones threw more than twice as many punches as Malinga, landed a much higher percentage. The last one of the 109 was the one that counted, a solid left hook that put Malinga away. And now Larry Merchant stands by with the sweaty but happy winner. Larry?
All right, Roy, congratulations. With his reputation for going the distance, had you despaired that you could ever get a knockout after the first few rounds?
No, I never thought I could not get a knockout. I knew that if I took my time, the center of the ring was very wet, and every time I tried to throw my combinations, I started slipping. So I was trying to unload on my hooks, and my foot was slipped, and I just started trying to make him come out of that spot, but he wouldn't. He was trying to trick me in the spot, so I kept trying to trick him, and the fight got a little dead for a second, but I had him set up for the left hand the whole time. So.
This is a very defensive fighter. Explain what you felt were the problems in breaking him down.
Whoa, what a shot. The problem with breaking him down was that, exactly what you said, he was a very defensive fighter, and plus he threw decent counter punches when you came at him. And then when he came at me, if I came at him and he came at me at the same time, he came with his head and he would headbutt me if I wouldn't have watched myself. What up, K-Lance, KG? Everybody in the hoop.
What does this mean for your career? Roy, what does this mean for your career, do you think, in terms of whether you're going to move up to 168 pounds and fight James Toney, or whether you're going to defend your title at 160?
One thing I need to clear up is that I don't go up looking for no particular fighter. I'll go up to 168. I'll fight whoever at 168 that I feel like I want to, or that would feel like they would fight. It isn't just a James Toney thing, it's an anybody thing. It doesn't make me no different who it is, where it at. I'll fight anybody any weight. But right now I'm going to go back down and defend my middleweight title about 2 or 3, maybe 3 more times if it's necessary. Then I'll go up to the super middleweight and the light heavyweight division. So I'm not going around looking for the one particular person. I'm looking for what's best for Roy.
So you're not saying that you have real difficulty in making the middleweight limit of 160 pounds. You're saying you want to extend your boundaries with the possible opponents of moving up if it's there.
Right. And I'm saying that I like to thank God for everything he given me, for giving me the opportunity to do the things I do. And I know that faith in myself and faith in God, I can do whatever I need to do. If I need to go down to 160 and defend my title, that's what I'll do. If I need to go up to 165, 168, 175, whatever, I can go up and do it. So I'm extremely confident. What's up, a great guards?
You made believers of some people tonight. Thank you, Roy. Jim?